Hey folks, welcome back for another build video where we're looking at a hybrid Hana-U build with special emphasis on some of the newer changes to happen to brand sets in this game. For those of you watching this around the time it comes out, you'll see the new inventory layout with that active and passive modifier tile. For those of you watching in the future, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But for everybody else, I do want to preface off the top, this video is not really going to go deep into those modifiers. Personally, we are still exploring them here, so it's going to take us a little bit of time to start incorporating them into actual builds. And more importantly, it's going to take us a little bit of time to figure out how we want to incorporate those into builds, whether we just tag it onto the end of the video or really make them ingrained into how we put these builds together. So bear with us. This one, not going to focus on that, but we are going to point out some of the changes that have happened to the brand set reworks. So a quick overview here. As we talked about, we're going to go into the Hana-U Corporation brand set, the Empress International brand set. So a quick overview here. As we already mentioned, we're going to use the Hana-U Corporation heavily, particularly to get to that 3-piece brand bonus that is now plus 15% weapon damage. And we're actually going to exclude the third piece of Empress International because that brand set bonus has been nerfed from 10% skill efficiency down to 8%. So while it is still a very nice thing to have, it's not as worth building towards. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, as always, we're going to start with our specialization here. And for this one here, we've gone with Technician, particularly for that amped talent, giving us a +1 skill tier, the overclocked CPU talent, giving us plus 10% skill damage, and the Faraday field talent, which gives yourself and party members within 5 meters of your deployed and undisrupted skills immune to shock and disruption. For our primary weapon, we have the Capacitor assault rifle, which of course comes with the Capacitance talent. Shooting enemies builds stacks up to a cap of 40. Each stack grants 1.5% skill damage. After 5 seconds, stacks decay at 1 per second. And on top of that, for each skill tier, you also gain 7.5% weapon damage, equivalent to half of a full weapon core. For our secondary weapon, we have the Harmony rifle, which as of Year 6 Season 2, certain rifles, including the Harmony, or more specifically the MK47, which the Harmony is a variant of, certain rifles have automatic fire. This is just a really nice quality of life thing you'll see in the video later on. It also makes the Harmony more effective as a weapon damage dealing item. And that rifle, of course, comes with the perfectly in sync talent. Hitting an enemy grants plus 20% skill damage for 5 seconds. Using a non-shield skill or damaging an enemy with a skill grants plus 20% weapon damage for 5 seconds. And damage increases are doubled when both debuffs are active at the same time, which of course for this build setup, assault turret, striker drone, both of those buffs can be active the majority of the time during an encounter. So you can count on plus 40% skill damage and plus 40% weapon damage. For sidearm here, we've gone with the Card 45 just because I personally like the feel of this weapon. More importantly, down here, we've gone with the talent Future Perfect. Weapon kills grant +1 skill tier for 15 seconds, stacking up to 3 times. But since we're at skill tier 6 already, what it really does is weapon kills at skill tier 6 grant overcharge for 15 seconds with an overcharge cooldown of 90 seconds. So you're sitting at skill tier 6 on this build, meaning that if you can get a kill with this pistol, you can overcharge both of your skills at the same time, greatly increasing the amount of damage that they do. For our mask, we have our first piece of Hana-U Corporation gear. Plus 15% skill haste is the first brand bonus there. On top of that, we have the native skill tier for the core attribute, skill damage, and critical hit chance in the secondary attribute slots, and then critical hit damage in the mod slot here. So as I said off the top, this is a hybrid build with the focus being on skill damage and weapon damage at the same time. And again, that was inspired by the recent change to the Hana-U Corporation third piece brand bonus, which upped the weapon damage to 15%, essentially granting you an additional weapon core once you unlock that third slot. So as you can see, a mix of skill tiers and weapon cores on this build, all building into our assault rifle and rifle damage, as well as our assault turret and striker drone combo down there at the bottom. For a backpack, we have the Force Multiplier, which is the named Hana-U backpack. It also unlocks that second brand bonus of plus 10% skill damage down there. And then again, here we have a skill tier, skill damage, and critical hit chance in the attribute slots. And then we actually have critical hit chance here in the mod slot on the backpack. As with any build where you're stacking into crit hit chance and crit hit damage, your particular math is going to be dependent on the calculation that I'm going to throw on screen here right now. Just make sure that you're throwing your personal numbers into the equation shown there just to make sure you're maximizing the potential of your particular build. On top of all that, this backpack comes with the unique Perfect Combined Arms talent. Shooting an enemy increases total skill damage by 30% for 3 seconds. For chest piece, we have our third and final piece of Hana-U Corporation, unlocking that new plus 15% weapon damage brand bonus. On top of which we have that skill tier core attribute, skill damage and skill haste in the secondary attributes there. Ideally, we would have that skill haste rolled to either crit hit chance or crit hit damage based on our own particular math. But in this case, we had to leave both of those unmodified so that we could roll the talent to kinetic momentum. When in combat, each skill generates a stack while active or not on cooldown. Stacks increase your total skill damage by 1.5% and total skill repair by 2%, up to 15 stacks per skill, which are both lost when on cooldown. So another quick note here, another seasonal change. The skill damage has been increased. It used to be 1% per stack. Now it is up to 1.5% per stack, which is part of the reason why we went ahead and put it on this build, because it is even better than it used to be. And again, you get up to 15 stacks per skill, meaning you get a total of up to 30 stacks at 1.5% skill damage for each stack. A quick note here, if you want to go with something that is even more hybrid focused, leaning into your weapon damage more, you could go with either the glass cannon talent, though of course that has the downside of increasing the damage that you take from other enemies, or you could go with the spotter talent, which does amplify your total weapon and skill damage by 15% to pulsed enemies. Again, not quite as heavy hitting on the skill damage side of things, but it would increase your personal weapon damage instead. For gloves, we have our first of 2 pieces of Empress International. The first piece there giving us plus 10% skill health, which, as I've talked about in previous videos, on higher difficulties does actually benefit your drone a little bit. It allows it to stay out that extra bit longer because enemies will be targeting it as it flies around. So if you can give it a little bit of skill health, you can make it a little more manageable to keep it out and keep those kinetic momentum stacks active. On top of that, we have skill damage and critical hit chance here in the secondary attribute slots. And I'll go ahead and take this moment to talk about the nerf to the Empress International skill efficiency brand bonus. So it used to be plus 10% skill efficiency once you worked your way up to that 3-piece bonus. It is now down to 8%. So while it is still a very powerful skill, given that it is a roll-up of skill damage, skill haste, skill duration, skill health, repair skills, and status effects, it does lose that little bit of effectiveness, which is what inspired us to go a different route for our 6th piece of gear down there. But given that the 2-piece brand bonus remains unchanged, we do have our 2nd piece of Empress International here on our Kneepads. Plus 10% skill damage is a great thing to have on an offensive skill hybrid build. And on top of that, we have skill damage and critical hit chance down there in the secondary attribute slots. And for our Kneepads here, we've again pivoted because of that nerf to the Empress International 3rd brand piece bonus, and actually gone with Fox's Prayer here, which comes with a native weapon damage core, 8% damage to target out of cover, and then we've rolled critical hit damage in that 2nd secondary attribute slot. On top of that, we get a 1-piece brand bonus of plus 10% rifle damage, which is going to help out our Harmony rifle that is in our secondary weapon slot there. Again, inspired by both the Empress nerf and the fact that the Harmony is now an automatic rifle. I wanted to play into that a little bit, which also makes you, as the player with your weapon, a more active participant in combat than some other more skill-heavy focused builds do. On top of that, we've already mentioned them, you already know what they are, but we'll go through them real quickly. For our skills, we have the Assault Turret and the Striker Drone, both of which here are at skill tier 6, giving us plus 120% damage and plus 420% health on that turret. Again, particularly with the turret here, I do want to harp on the Faraday Field talent that you get with the Technician's Specialization. It'll make you immune to shock and disrupt, 2 things that I know have really plagued people over the rollout of this new season. So if you find yourself struggling with that, just do remember the Technician Specialization comes with the Faraday Field talent, which will help you be immune to those whenever you are within 5 meters of a deployed skill. On top of that, it is everybody's favorite flying skill. It is the Striker Drone, which again at skill tier 6 gives you 120% striker damage and 420% health, which will help it stay out just that extra bit longer. So there you go, that is the Hana-U Hybrid build inspired by Year 6 Season 2 changes. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Particularly, let me know what your thoughts are on this new season. There have been a lot of changes to some pretty basic game mechanics. I know some people love them, some people hate them. Let me know which side you fall on. And on top of that, let me know in the comments below if you would like us to do any videos reviewing those changes or exploring the ways that they might change some build theory. I know those videos don't do as well on YouTube, but if there is a desire to see those, if you don't feel like other creators are covering those well enough, let me know. We'll put something together so we can get some information out to you guys. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. Please like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more, and please tell your friends about the channel so you can continue to help us grow and make content like this. And we look forward to seeing you in the next one.
That's a preposterous allegation. It's downright laughable.
Tango, under fire!
My brother, Felix Sokolow. Felix was a medic for the Black Tusk. He was going to be a doctor. I put him through medical school after our father died, while as a crew. I love him.
Hostiles detected. Immediate medical assistance needed.
How'd you let them get there? Change mags!
Hostile detected. Hostile broadcast detected.
Glasses made it a game. Hide and seek. I always wanted to play hide and seek.
Hostile defender drone detected. Hostile. Rogue agent detected. Serious trauma detected. Hostile broadcast picked up. Rogue agent eliminated. Supply room access unlocked.